it looks like it's 1:30, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and also we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time together. So hi everyone, my name's Cal Marquise. I work at Bywater Solutions on the Aspen Discovery team, and I'm an Aspen Implementation Specialist. So what that means is I get the pleasure of working with all kinds of different libraries, including a lot of different consortiums, and some of those we'll look at today, to help them learn everything about Aspen, as well as set up all of their library catalogs. I am joined with Kelly here. I don't know if you want to say hey.
Hey.
Kelly's going to be helping on in the chat if you have any questions during my presentation. She'll also be posting some links to some of the sites that I'm going to be sharing throughout our session together today. So today we're looking at implementing Aspen Discovery within a consortium. You're going to see we work with a lot of consortiums across the country, and everyone is different, which is really fun and exciting. So we'll look at all kinds of things to maybe consider, some different things that we do when we're working with consortiums. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Oops. This in presentation mode. All right, so that's me. We're here. It's 1:30 on March 28th. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me just swipe over. So if you've joined us on any of our webinars in the past, you might know already that we are very goal-oriented here at Bywater and also on the Aspen Discovery team. One thing that we always look at before we get started is just some of our main goals when we are developing and even implementing Aspen Discovery. The biggest focus that we have with our with Aspen Discovery is patrons. So we're always trying to focus on the users and the user experience within Aspen. We model Aspen a lot after really familiar platforms for our patrons like Netflix and Hulu. We really want it to be intuitive and familiar. We also want to make sure that they're able to discover new things within your catalogs. Libraries have been changing very rapidly over the course of the last decade. Lots more e-content, special collections, museum passes, library of things. We want to give them all a prominent place within your library catalog. The other thing that we really focus on, especially during the implementation process, is making sure that all of your admin and frontline staff feel really comfortable with rolling out Aspen to your patrons. So we spend a lot of time together going through all of the different settings and everything that you have access to. With consortiums, currently, as of today, I just pulled these statistics yesterday, we support 28 plus. I say plus because we have some consortiums maybe in different phases of going live or launching, but we have 28 plus consortiums ranging in size from 3 library systems to 500 library systems. So lots of variety there. Even though Bywater a lot of times is associated with the Koha ILS, we actually support consortiums on 6 different ILSs. And this number of consortiums represents over 875 different Aspen catalogs, and that represents over 1,200 physical locations that are using these catalogs. So it's really awesome to see how great consortiums kind of have taken Aspen under their wings and are utilizing this. And the different consortiums that we support, like I said, there's a lot of variety, and you can imagine somebody representing 3 library systems is going to be very different than representing maybe 500 library systems. So I kind of put together some of the most common things we see. We have some libraries that join together, maybe they're small towns or small systems. They'll join together for purchasing power. They might share a server, but really they don't share any staff or any resources, but they come to us and they want to go together on a project. We also, probably most commonly, we have a central admin group. So there is dedicated staff maybe to this project or to the consortium. They're going to make some core decisions for the entire group. And then we'll also train maybe some more admin at the library system level so that they can get in and make customizations to their own library catalogs. And then, of course, I had to put, we have something in the middle as well. So we see all kinds of different configurations. The biggest thing, I think, when implementing with a consortium, when you're looking at Aspen, is those decision makers. Like, you do have to have a few key people that can make some decision to represent the needs and wants of your entire organization. when we look at the actual configuration or the structure of Aspen catalogs, specifically with consortia, we really feel like, and we've seen through different user type experience studies, that user behavior shows that patrons find your library catalog through Google or whatever search platform that they're really comfortable with. So they'll go to their search engine, they know the name of their library system or maybe the one in their town or their city, and they'll Google, in this case, I have a test library, Springfield Public Library, and then they'll look for that library catalog. Either maybe embedded it in the search bar or maybe on the library website, there's a link directly out to the catalog. So what we really think about and what we really suggest is that there's one library website to one library catalog when we're doing these configurations. Now, we know that there's a lot of benefits and maybe recognition when it comes to consortial branding. So we also think about this as maybe the best of both worlds, or sort of like a happy medium, so that each library and each library system can still have their own logo, branded design. They can promote their own resources, which we'll get into. But there's still areas where you'll see the recognizable maybe consortial logo. A lot of times this might be in the footer, but I'll show you a couple different examples of this. Library systems can also feature browse categories that have their own unique collections. So they can be showing off their shared resources, but they can also be showing off maybe their own museum passes or their own library of things. Sometimes, libraries have their own research collections or something that's really unique to them. There's also an area where libraries can put whatever menu links that they want. Sometimes consortial members will come in and they'll put some things that are shared. Shared network databases, shared resources, shared help information. But then libraries are still able to go ahead and customize any additional links that they want. When it comes to how records actually show within the catalog, again, this is just a test site that I kind of created for this, but we again try to think about that best of both worlds. There's a lot of benefits, of course, being in a consortium because you get access to so many more materials. But with that maybe comes a little bit of patron confusion, understanding, what's actually at my library. So on our catalogs, we prioritize the library catalogs holdings that you're on. So in this case, I'm seeing Springfield Public Library's holdings first, but I still have access to everything across the State Library Network as well, or this consortium example as well. So we're showing that at the top, really making it easy for patrons to identify, but we're not taking anything away or restricting anything that they have access to across the network. And you'll see this again when you actually click into the record. We do the same thing with our copy details. So for the individual items that are available, we'll put the catalogs holdings and that system at the top, and then any other availability across the network would be underneath that. So we're always trying to strike that balance with consortiums of that, is it easy for patrons to understand? And also like they have so much access to so many things. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples now. This is Northern New Hampshire Library Consortium. This is one of those examples where for purchasing power, these libraries formed, and they came to us and they're sharing all one Aspen server. They went through the trading process all together, but they don't share any other staff. They're not really a part of a consortium in the traditional sense where they're, maybe some staff work at this library and some other staff work at this library, or it's anything like that. So they've come to us, they wanted to implement Aspen Discovery. This is made up of 4 different libraries. So this is the Madison Library catalog, and I just wanted to show you, I'm going to click through the different ones and you can just see how maybe different and what different things they're featuring. So this library has different browse categories. They have added their own links and things that are unique to them. If we click through, you will see Conway. So completely different colors. All of these colors and things match their library logos and their library websites. They're featuring completely different things. So they're featuring some teen and children and even some summertime things. They're hoping for summer probably in New England already. So, okay. And then here's Jackson Public Library. So they actually are using Aspen as their entire web presence. So we have something called Web Builder where you can create pages and they're actually using this instead for their homepage. So completely different than their other users in the consortium. And then finally, this is Cook Memorial Library. So again, you'll just see that there's different things that they're featuring, different logo, different menu links. The next one I want to show you is the WYLD Consortium. Oh, actually, sorry, forgot one. We're going to show you a little bit about Ocean State Library. So when I was talking about that consortial branding, this is an example of some areas where there's different library systems in the Ocean State Libraries network in Rhode Island. It's about 50 different library systems, so 50 different unique branded catalogs. But they had a lot of recognition in their logo, and they really wanted to prominently still feature that this is a part of the Ocean State Libraries network. When they went live, they put these branded little system messages across the top of their headers, just letting them know that it's powered and it was launched through Ocean State Libraries. And then all of their footers on their library catalog also include that consortial branding. So if you're familiar as a patron with either one of those, either your local public library or the overall consortium, either one, you're going to recognize that logo or that branding. Here's just another example of the MAIN Library Alliance. They figured out, Mike at MAIN, he's a wizard when it comes to JavaScript and CSS, and he added this little logo on all of their library sites, and he also included some drop-down links. So this was something that was added to all of their libraries across their network. Okay, now is where I'll show you the WYLD Consortium. This is in the state of Wyoming, and why I love to show this one off is because they have such a variety or diversity of libraries within their network. So this is their Wyoming State Library, and you'll see, again, they're using one of those web builder pages as their homepage. They also have that consortial branding. They call it Wildcat for their library catalog, so that's on all of the footers. Of course, they're going to have very unique needs. They have their state publications, legislation, newspapers. So they're featuring more of maybe like an academic or an archival type collection on their sites. Whereas they also support a ton of public libraries. So kids reading, lots of maybe some wonder books, staff picks, lots more of that like popular culture types of things that they want to feature. So again, this is all on the same server. It was all through the same implementation. Here's another one in that group. It's a community college. So if you look at what they're featuring, it's related to a lot of their bachelor's degrees. So nursing, dental, they're featuring a lot of their like academic coursework on their library catalog. There's also K through 12 schools in that network. So here is a school system that represents an elementary, high school, and they're featuring some like book awards and state award winners and more things targeted just to children's and that age group. Then I think I have maybe one more for them. Yeah, they also have a law library. So again, completely different databases, legal databases, very different needs. So it's pretty amazing that all in one sort of like project or one sort of implementation, we're able to like support the needs of all of this different variety of libraries within a consortium. So how do we do this? Do you feel overwhelmed looking at all of that setup? Well, we have kind of a very streamlined plan to make this happen and make it as easy as possible. So an implementation timeline, of course, you've heard the variety of libraries that we support. It's always unique. Everyone's going to have different needs, have different training wants and things like that. So this is sort of the beginning of how we start off. We always get to know you first. So we're going to have a kickoff meeting. We're going to start asking about, what are your priorities? What do you love about Aspen? What's missing from your current catalog? What things make you unique? What things do you want to show off? So we're really going to try to get to know you. We work from home. You might see a cat or dog, and we really become friends during these different sessions. The next part is really starting to put together all the pieces, and we'll look at what those pieces are. Things like your eContent, different databases, maybe just special collections or things that you want to highlight. We want to start taking that inventory and gathering, what everybody has and what we need to get set up and get started for you. here is just what, right out of the box, like right when we start with that kickoff and configuration, just an example of what an Aspen site is going to look like. So we will set up a basic theme for you on your consortial site as well on your individual sites. So it's already kind of looking really great out of the box. We start you off with just some default browse categories on every single site. And you'll start off with things like, the facets and all of your records and everything like that. So this is really what Aspen looks like out of the box, I would say. This is an example of a consortium, just I took off their branding, and then this is their consortial branding, and then there's also, oops, I'm so sorry, my mouse. It can't be an online presentation without this happening, so let me just get back to my slide. I apologize. Aha. Okay, this is just another library within that consortium. So we also got their logo. We set that up for them. So just again, just right out of the box, even if you are a small library within a large consortium and maybe you're don't have the staff time or just really not ready right away to get in and do a ton of customizations, we're already going to get you in a really good place just right out of the gate to get started. So we really believe that all libraries deserve really beautiful and well-functioning catalogs for their patrons, regardless of how many maybe staff members they have or how much time they have to dedicating to customizations. So we really do try to give you something really great just to begin with. After that, we're really going to dive into more sessions together. So you've let us know what your priorities are, and then we're going to start structuring some Zoom sessions with you. Usually they're between an hour and an hour and a half. They tend to culminate to about 6 to 10 hours of time. These are really conversations where we're showing you the back end of Aspen. You're telling us, okay, we really want this. This is a priority to us. And we're thinking through, okay, this is how we could make this work. Do you like option A? Do you like option B? And we're going through all of that together. We really want that core admin team or those core decision makers to feel really, really comfortable with managing all aspects of Aspen. Once we get to that point, then we often roll out to maybe the second tier administrators. So library level system or branch maybe managers or like the admin team that might want to do specific customizations within their library catalogs. So all of the initial framework is done. Maybe they just want to add another link or an additional little color or something fun to their library catalogs. The final piece to this with the training is that we train all frontline staff on the patron experience. So your catalogs are really already completed. And what we want to do is make sure that they feel really confident on answering all of those questions that patrons are going to have the first time you launch a new product. So how do you log in? Where are my checkouts and holds? How can I search? How do I make a list? So we'll walk through all of your frontline staff on all of those things so that they really feel comfortable and confident speaking to patrons about your library catalog. When we look at some of those configuration and scoping options, the majority of settings within Aspen can be configured between each library system. So as much really customization as you want to do across those different library system catalogs can be done. So here's a little bit of an overview of which things are available, but we've seen kind of some of these examples already. Things like browse categories, the theme, different e-content, and we'll look at that more in a bit. Obviously, like your branch and location information. So how do I get to this library? Different menu links and things that you want to feature for your resources. There's different staff lists that you can have within your own individual library catalog. E-commerce, we offer, I think, 8. We'll look at, there's another slide that has all of this on it, but I think we have 8 different e-commerce providers now. So if one library system uses PayPal and the other one uses Square, that's no problem. They're able to each support both of those. There's also web pages. So you saw some libraries examples here where they were using custom pages with their own images, their own information. That can all be tailored per library system as well. Libraries can even have their own facets. So those filters that you see on the search results, because an academic library versus a public library versus a kid's, K through 12 catalog, they might have different things that they want to gear their users to. So lots and lots of different customization that's available for these different library system catalogs. Now, there are a few things that we'll look at that the different providers, these come up usually all the time, like what integrations do you provide? So I'd like to show this off for the different databases, e-commerce providers, the current eContent that we support through API, and then events integrations. So we just get a ton of questions about these and how this is going to work. So with Aspen, we have direct integrations for database providers like EBSCO, EDS, EBSCO Host, and in the works right now, coming soon, Summon, our friends at PTFS Europe have been working hard on that. They support academic libraries a lot of times in Aspen, so they've been working on the Summon integration. Here are all those e-commerce providers that I referenced. So it looks like there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, wow, different platforms and different vendors that we support. Also, direct connection through API. We support Boundless, Cloud Library, Hoopla, Libby, and as of, I believe, last month, we started with adding the Palace project. So that's really exciting. There's also other e-content you can add to your sites, Creative Bug, LinkedIn Learning, those types of providers. We can add those directly into Aspen via a process called sideloading with MARC records. So those can also be added to different sites. Another popular one is Canopy. So if maybe 5 or 10 libraries have Canopy, but the rest of your consortium doesn't, that's totally fine. We can load those on just the sites that have it. We also currently have 3 different events platform integrations. We have Communico Attend, we have Library Market, Library Calendar, and we have SpringShare LibCal. What this enables your libraries that subscribe to this to do is we actually integrate their events right within the library catalog. So if I'm searching for a book on yoga, maybe, or a DVD on yoga, and you have a yoga program coming up next month, or your library system does, that will actually show in Aspen to users that are looking for, maybe they didn't even know that you have programs like that. So it's a really awesome integration, and we keep adding different platforms like that we support. Now, there are a couple things that you will need to make some global decisions on. But if you see this, it's a lot shorter slide than the things that you're able to customize per library catalogs. Some things are like languages and translations. So I believe we have about 9 or 10 different translations that you can add to your library catalogs or your server. So that would be things like Spanish, French, Chinese, Polish, Russian. You do need to make a global decision on that. So everyone would have the same amount or the same type of translations. There's also ways within Aspen that you can update any language that you see within your catalog. So if your library system calls it material requests or purchase suggestions or suggest an item, there's ways that you can configure that type of language within your catalog. But that type of decision would need to be made globally across all of your libraries on your server. So that's just one of those global things. The other things really relate to how records display, and that has to do with the information coming through your ILS data. So books all need to be called books in your library catalog, and if something's available, it does need to be all called available or whatever language that you use. But kind of small things, but I wanted to just note there are a few things that will have to be shared globally. And after we've looked at all of these things, everything's configured, all the training is done, then your staff is ready to go, your catalogs are gorgeous, it's time to go live. We are very proud. I think a lot of times I'm meeting with libraries right before they go live, and we're end up not talking about anything like troubleshooting or tickets that we have open or questions. It's more just like a pep talk, or like, it's going to be fine, it's going to be great, we feel confident about it. So I love that part of my job. When libraries go live, overwhelmingly, we don't really hear much except for like, it was fine. And that's really what we want. We want it to be a really smooth transition for everyone involved. All of us have worked in libraries in some sort of capacity, I think, at Bywater Solutions. So we know that, especially when you're working with frontline staff and patrons, we want this to be as smooth as possible for everyone involved. And overwhelmingly, that's what we hear. Patrons just get it, and it makes it so amazing. We don't go anywhere after the implementation process. We are first and foremost a support organization. So there are tons of opportunities to meet with us on Zoom, put in support tickets. We have a very active Slack channel with about 600 of our different partners that we support, that you can talk to us like in a second. We also have tons of community meetings. So meetings where people have formed different groups, whether it be their ILS groups, whether it be they really love cataloging and they all want to meet and talk about cataloging. Just different little community groups that have sprouted up. I think we even have maybe 6 to 8 different monthly meetings, and you can join and be as involved as you want in that process. So it's really amazing to see the community grow.
Cal, we have a question for you.
Yeah.
So the question is there a separate cataloging procedure or things they need to look for to ensure that they have the proper verberization or record grouping?
Oh, okay. The short answer is no. So Aspen, with the verberization, or the way that it groups works together, it's looking at 4 key things. It's looking at same title, same author, same language, and then same expression of the work. So for same language, English titles will only group with English titles, Spanish titles only group with Spanish titles. Expression of the work, we look at bibliographic data, and we would match up things like all of your books would go together. All of your audiobooks would group with the books. But books and audiobooks are not going to group with like your DVDs and Blu-rays, for example. But Blu-rays and DVDs would group together. So we have all of that hard-coded. So when we first load your data, we load your data. The first thing in the process is we connect to your ILS and we get all of your data loaded. Like 95% of it just works. There are a couple things, especially when we're looking at eContent providers and maybe some variety of cataloging that they might have, especially when it comes to the same title and same author in some cases. But we have ways that you can update those, or you can fix those on the fly. But that's a much smaller pool of things. Our goal, especially working with 7 different ILSs, is that it's agnostic. We should be able to connect to your ILS, and the data will just sort of work, which is really nice. Yeah, no problem. Good question, though. And with about 2 minutes to spare, I just wanted to share, these are kind of bigger quotes, but just some of the feedback that we get. It can feel daunting, at the beginning, and in a consortium especially, like it can feel like overwhelming and very complex, but I think we do a really great job of breaking it down into pieces, and working together on each chunk until it's just like magically put together, which I think is awesome. So I think hearing this feedback, again, from libraries as 3 library systems to 500 library systems, we understand that that's no small task. And it's just really great that we have so many consortiums that just really love Aspen. It seems to work. We're finding that middle ground, that balance between their libraries that they're supporting and all their needs, and also wanting to kind of keep a unified, presence.
And then Cal, there's one in the Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
We may need to do this as a follow-up.
Okay.
But are you able to read that one?
Yes. Oh, okay. So it says the examples only show local holdings within that library, not holdings by other consortium members. So when you actually click into a record, so we do prefer the local holdings first, but when you click, either if you're looking at some of those examples, it might say like, where is it? If you pop that up, or when you click into the record, it shows all the holdings across the entire network. So we just prefer the library system that you're on first, but we don't hide anything else. So anything that is available to that patron with their library card should still be showing. All right, well, that's all for me. 30 minutes, it's a fast one. If you want to learn more about Aspen, we have these monthly, and the next one that we have is Enhancing the Patron Experience on April 25th. So the same place that you found out about this webinar, you can find out about that, or maybe, I don't know if Kelly has a link to it. the link master. And if you do have any questions, or I know we have to go through this information very fast in 30 minutes, you can reach out to either Bill or I at bywatersolutions.com. And our names are short, so Bill or Cal at bywatersolutions.com, and you can get a hold of us.